All right. Are we? Do you need to do any audio testing before we
No, we already went through the audio test, so
kick things off?
here we
Don't you
go.
remember, Mary? Are you just joining us?
All right. All right, and here we go.
The Sunday Morning Linux Review, starring Mary Talmadge, Tony Venus, and Matt Enders as the Beaver.
And this is episode 135.
Magyar.
Yes, Magyar.
All right.
What is my gear, Mary?
Well, Magyar.
Well, let's
let's give some background on it.
no, because in listener feedback, we've got a couple of listener feedbacks to go along with it. So
Yeah. So should we just?
we should
till
wait
then?
for the
All right.
explanation of Magyar till listener feedback.
All right.
All right, so it shall be a
Yeah.
mystery.
We'll be having a lot of fun during that segment of the show.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess since we're not talking about the name of the episode, let's find out what we did.
No.
Matt,
sounds
you
good.
first.
Oh, me first.
Well,
Okay. The only exciting thing we did was one of the guys at work that I'm pretty good friends with got a job with Rackspace down in Texas, so he leaves on Tuesday. So we took him out last night, and
he hasn't awakened yet.
well, when I left them, they were passed out in different places around this other friend of ours' apartment. So I'm not really sure what condition they're in right now.
Oh,
And his
So-
job, his first day on the job starts.
The 29th.
Okay, a week from Monday. Okay. What city in Texas is that?
I
Austin?
think it's San
Dallas?
Antonio.
Oh, Oh, yeah. I spent 6 weeks there. Basic training. Well, congratulations to him.
Yep, he's looking forward to it.
cool.
Yeah, I'm sure those 120-degree days in August.
Yeah, but it's air conditioned in the Rackspace's office, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Of course.
Did you know that their office is an old shopping mall?
No.
Really?
Wow.
That makes sense. It has a lot of
Wow,
rooms you
open
can
space.
individualize out. Yeah.
Enough room, tall ceiling, so you can raise that floor.
Yeah.
The
Well,
cabling?
no, there's no data center there. Their data centers are around the country.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
So,
His corporate office.
yep.
Oh,
Hmm.
wow. Cool. Good for him.
Kind of like the way Secure 24 here does it. Secure 24's office here, where
Mhm.
their support staff is, has no data center there. The
Right.
local data centers somewhere else, and then they have other data centers around the country.
Mhm.
Kind of,
Mm.
I guess we're kind of unique in the fact where I work that we have our main data center where all our support staff is also.
Oh,
But
hmm
most places don't do it like that, I guess.
yeah. All right.
Hmm. Okay, Matt.
So what'd you do, Mary?
Well, let's see. I upgraded my PC to PCBSD 10.0.3, which I think went pretty well. That particular upgrade also included the Lumina desktop, which
Yeah, that new desktop.
which has incremented itself up to a beta level, and not the last podcast for BSD Now, but the one previous to that, they interviewed the lead developer of the desktop, who's Chris Moore's brother Ken. I think I mentioned he's going to be at Linux at Ohio Linux Fest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
you
going to
did.
be speaking on Friday afternoon, so I'm going to go down there really early on Friday morning. I'm leaving here probably about 3 a.m.
Why so early?
so I can get down there and listen to some of the stuff on Friday.
Okay. If that's what typically Friday is
Early
like
birds.
training. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
early
it
bird
was-
stuff.
well,
Some
it was-
early bird.
That doesn't
early
start till the
penguins.
afternoon, right?
Yeah. But I'm gonna leave. Well, maybe I won't leave at 3. Come to think of it.
Yeah.
Maybe
I think
I'll-
if we leave it at 8 or so, we'll be all right.
it's about a 4-hour drive,
Yeah.
so you get there by noon.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess I'll leave a little later. A little later than I originally thought. I'm glad I talked to you guys about it. I'd be there and I'd be waiting for the doors to open.
Well, no, they'd open, but they would open for people who paid for training.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right.
Well, anyway, but getting back to this Lumina desktop, so it is it's a complete desktop environment, and he characterized it as light and fast for people who don't focus on the desktop. So I thought, well, I'm out of that. It's based on Fluxbox, and it's a floating desktop, but it does have some tiling options to it.
The new BSD desktop is based on Fluxbox. They base it on they took a code base of Fluxbox and derived it from it. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. And they've already ported it to the other BSDs. So I think at least to FreeBSD. I think the other ones, if not already done, are in progress. And it's going to be ported out to Linux at probably some point in the not too distant future.
Oh, like Linux needs another desktop.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing they do have on the Lumina desktop is better integration with ZFS. They've got a ZFS file restore that's built right into the file manager that they use. Oh, and I can't remember what file manager it is, but anyway, they've got some kind of a button there in the corner where you can just hit the button and it's going to give you your ZFS file restore options, which is pretty cool.
Michael Lucas wrote a new book. It's not out yet on using ZFS.
He did?
Yeah.
Really?
That's not Michael Lucas. That book.
I know that, but it just caused me to read.
Oh.
It's show and tell time.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Show and tell time.
Oh.
And for people who are just listening, what I'm doing is I've just reached out for my new book that I got, which is, it's a textbook. It's the design and implementation of the FreeBSD operating system. It's #1 in its category on Amazon.com. So I ordered it back in April, and I just got it this past week. So I've already gone through chapter 1, which is essentially the history of FreeBSD. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, there's some names there that I recognized, Dennis Ritchie and others. And,
Oh, that's Unix.
well, right, but this came from that, and the whole lawsuit with AT&T,
Yeah,
the whole thing.
that's why BSD is like true Unix,
Mhm.
because it comes from the same code base originally.
Right.
So, but anyway, I was pretty excited to get that, and impressed that it was a hard cover book, but I can see how it would be used for an operating system class, which I won't be taking. But anyway, but speaking of classes, Tony, what did you do this last week?
Yeah, so I'm full-fledged into my master's classes, and this is the third week of classes, and it's a lot of reading.
Wondering where your free time went, huh?
Yeah, really. I don't know. I read like 1, maybe 2 articles of tech stuff a week for the last like 8 years, and now I'm having to read like a full book between my 2 classes, like 4 chapters and 7 chapters, or sometimes it'll be like 1 chapter from one class and 5 from the other. And
Can you just read like the first page and the last page of the chapter? And
no, because
Okay.
no, not in this class.
trying
And
to be
then
helpful.
yeah, and then I have to. Well, with the one class I may be able to,
Mhm.
but the other one I have to write out like a review on the article that I'm reading or that chapter. So I have to have quotes from it and how it impacts my life, and I get extra points if I can relate what it's doing to something that is, in real life or something. So it's interesting.
Huh.
And what I'm doing at work has a lot of impact of what the things I'm learning in class.
That's
Just
good. That'll help you
healthcare in
reinforce it.
general and
Yeah.
and the Portable Air
Mhm.
Health, or what is it,
Portable
Affordable
Care.
Care Act.
Oh yeah.
Have you started the new position?
No, but there
Matt.
is a light at the end of the table.
At the
Right?
end of the table. Yeah, and it's not Matt's
It's
head.
not my head either.
I know that it's pretty
Program
shiny,
head.
but no, actually, I am next week Friday, or I guess this week Friday is my last day of being a field tech, and I'm going on to the network.
All right.
Good for you.
I'm training the new guy, and he's doing all right. He's it's a lot to learn, and he's going to be stuck at this hospital by himself, which I think my supervisor or my lead
You
is
have to
probably going to
repackage
have to
that
come down and
statement.
help him.
You have to repackage that statement. He's going to be the lead at the hospital. The
Yeah,
lead field
that's
tech.
it.
That's how you make that
I
No,
told him
no.
he
sound
needs to.
better.
The first one was probably more accurate.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff to learn, and I don't think I can go over it in 2 weeks. So
Mhm.
he has 1 week left, and for like general tech stuff and be able to fix things, he's got that down. But the specific stuff that Oakwood does
Mhm.
and what he's responsible for, opposed to other teams are responsible for, that's the hard stuff to learn
Okay.
because it's a lot of stuff. Um,
Just because you get the ticket doesn't mean it's your ticket.
exactly. Yeah, just because the help desk sends it to you doesn't mean. But anyway,
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah.
especially
So
if they have like what do you call it when you have to close a ticket out in a certain amount of time, or you have to
SLA,
sign it or something like that?
we
No.
call it SLA. It's a service
Service
level
level
agreement.
agreement.
Yeah,
Well, maybe
and
if they're trying to meet some deadline.
Thank
or
God our
something.
service level agreements don't address tickets at all.
that's all ours are. At least what I deal with. We use Remedy, and in the ticket system, it'll show like green is you're within SLA, red is you're about to end SLA, and black is out of SLA. So it's I get a black ticket every once in a while, and uh, so because we're training, things are getting pushed back and are a little bit slower. So more black tickets are coming in, or I'm getting more black tickets. And just to save him, I'm sacrificing myself and I'm closing the black tickets and letting him close the
Green tickets.
Yeah. But it's not going to matter much here coming another week whether I'm going to have so many black tickets.
Well, you'll be under a completely different SLA.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Huh.
so yeah, busy times. I didn't have much to do, or I didn't have time to do anything with class, or from because of class and everything. I didn't have time to do much for the show. So
Well,
I'm
then just
here.
sit here and be a pretty face.
All right.
All right. Well,
Oh, and you're also, Mary, you have your Lions
I
jersey
do. I have
on.
my Lions jersey on because it's Blue Out Day, before the blowout, I guess. I don't know. No, it's I'm going to the Lions game today. Lions Packers, go Lions. Of course, that's what we Lions fans say. You know, we start the year
know,
off so
I
optimistically.
hate the Packers because I'm a Vikings fan.
So you're gonna,
I hate the Packers.
yeah.
But they're going to beat the Lions.
Oh, they will not. $5.
$5, we're on.
All right, $5.
All right.
Okay.
Even though now the Viking season's completely over.
Well,
But
so. All right.
and also yesterday, before we went out, I stopped by Barnes and Noble and I picked up a new book, Learning Perl, 6th edition. I'm gonna attempt to learn Perl now that I think I've got Bash fairly under control.
All right.
But I noticed on the back when I got it, there's a quote from friend of the show, Craig Maloney.
Hey, Craig.
Hey, Craig.
All right.
Yes, now I know a famous person.
Right.
He's quoted as a Slashdot reviewer.
And so, what did he like the
He
book?
did like it, but his quote is relevant for the 4th edition,
Oh,
and this
okay.
is the 6th edition.
All right.
So I guess they had no good quotes from the 5th edition.
Very nice.
Well, maybe that was just like a development release. All right. Well, I guess we'll be moving on to.
Matt, what's happening with the kernel?
All right, in the kernel, the main line is 3.17-RC5, and that was released on 9/15 of 14. And then the newest stable kernel is 3.16.3, released on 9/17 of 14. And then long-term kernel 3.14.19, released on 9/17 of 14. And long-term kernel 3.12.28, released on 9/7 of 14. And then long-term kernel 3.10.55, released on 9/17 of 14. And then long-term kernel 3.2.63, released on 9/13 of 14. And that's all for the kernel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
There's this show on the Detroit NPR. It's the jazz show. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
With Ed Love.
well,
You ever
Detroit
listen to
NPR almost always just plays jazz. That's
At
why
night.
At
During the
night,
day.
yeah, it's always at night they
During
play
the
it.
day, it's classical.
No, the Detroit, the one out of Wayne State.
Mm-hmm.
They'll run regular programs on the weekends,
Oh, I thought you
but
meant during the. Well, there.
but
What
during
about
the
during
day,
the day?
yeah, no, at night it's still like jazz or
Uh,
classical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But Ed Love, he'll be talking just like you were, so that's what remind me of that. And this is we're talking about the
oh,
whatever,
really?
and he'll have the jazz music going in the background, and then when he pauses, he turns it up, and it's like music, and this is blah, 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 I was like, so I should get some music going for you.
Okay.
Some assembly language.
But that's why I like the Ann Arbor
Michigan
radio
Yeah.
because they're all the different talk shows or they have.
Yeah,
they'll
that's
never
what I
play
listen
music.
to. I always listen to Michigan radio.
Don't listen to Michigan football though.
Why
They
is
don't
that?
play it on there, but
They got blown out yesterday. Not blown out exactly, but that horrible loss. But we won't dwell on that. We are going to move on to.
Tony, what's going on with the Linux distributions this week?
All right.
yeah. So
So Tony,
we have to go way back to
way
I
back
don't know
I think
Was it the 7th.
we last broadcast on the 7th, and
But I think it was PCBSD is our first one on the list then.
mhm.
Oh right, so that's on the 9th, and that's really not a Linux distro, but it's a BSD
Come on,
release.
show some love,
That's right.
because I'm running it on this laptop and I'm liking it.
Yeah, so just like Mary said, she did the update. It is
Mhm.
10.0.3.
I did, worked well, and here we go.
That's right. You already talked about everything cool on
Yeah,
it.
I did. I do have one more. I do have one more comment about it though. They are going to be porting it. I think we talked about porting it to Linux, but it's being packaged for Linux. And also one thing too is that the Illumina desktop is highly portable. The way they've designed it, the way Ken Moore's designed it, he and his team, it's a single class and single source file that needs to be modified. Just needs to be modified for your OS. So it's in Lumina. lib/Lumina/ then Lumina OS dash and then the name of it. So you just make a copy of that, and if you want to make some changes to it, you can do that. So very modest hardware requirements, and it's based on Qt, Qt and Fluxbox, as I said. Okay, Tony.
All right. Next up, we have the Q4 OS 0.5.18. I think that's the first time I've seen that on the list.
You're correct.
They're a lightweight and minimalist desktop with
Mentalist
Trinity.
or minimalist.
Minimalist. Yeah. With
just think about
Trinity.
it.
Yeah, Trinity as their desktop.
Yes, and you know what? Today's review is of Q4 OS.
Ooh,
So more about it to come.
that's right. Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
On the 11th, we have IP Fire Core or 215 Core 82, which is just like a bug fix updates for IP Fire.
You know, they had earlier this year they had a crowdfunding kind of a fundraiser, and this was in euros. It was 2,750 euros, and they made it, which is kind of nice. One thing they've got, what they've set up here is it's kind of interesting. It's a single point of maintenance for the administrator, but you see here. Am I talking about the right thing? Maybe not. But anyway, they've got let's see, Windows domain services are must-have for for bigger companies. So what they've done is they've gone ahead. Did you say IP Fire?
Yeah. We're talking about IP
I'm
Fire.
not losing my mind, am I?
Okay, no.
Yeah. So anyway, but it's so it's
Yeah,
a great.
there's that system called Packfire that they use, and it's packages that you can install and uninstall. You can do it all from the web interface, or you can SSH in from the command line. But there's a lot of packages on there that I think has nothing to do with being a router and should not be running on a router. So if you want some kind of like routing device that just does a bunch of other stuff, then that'll be fine. But I wouldn't run like Samba 4, a domain controller, on your main firewall router.
No, not a good idea.
No. Yeah, no, that you'd want it to specialize in routing, and
right.
that's it. And then have the latest and greatest updates.
Yeah, so like on mine, you can run it as a BitTorrent server. and you can
Mhm.
run all your BitTorrents off of that instead of doing it on your PC in your house. So I've done that from there. I've downloaded a couple Linux ISOs off of that.
Mhm.
But it's that's the only thing other than firewall stuff that I've done on it. Um, so yeah.
Oh, I figured out my confusion. I was thinking of something that we're going to be talking about Proxmox very shortly,
Mm,
and the thing I wanted to talk about was what's in Proxmox. And I'm thinking, why isn't it here for IP Fire? Well, it's because it was Proxmox.
that makes
That was
sense.
my problem.
All right.
That's one of my problems.
It's the problem of the moment.
All right.
All right. So on the 14th, we have SLACL 6.0.2, which is the open box edition.
Mhm.
And it's their updated. Uh, they are lightweight, running light open box and based on Slackware.
Yeah, they're the ISO images are ISO hybrids, and also, Slack-L. I don't think they really mentioned it there, but those of you who follow that distro know that it's based on Slackware and Salix. So, and they include Ice-T Web, which allows Java based apps, web apps to open and play. I um I use that Ice-T
Yeah.
Web.
Don't get me started.
Oh,
I almost used a bad word. I didn't, Tony.
uh-huh.
You
Thank
will
you. I
not have to edit.
appreciate it.
I hate
Thanks, man.
freaking
Uh-huh.
Java. Java blows. Java should be outlawed. Java should be shot, burnt, beheaded.
I'm drinking Java. What are you talking about?
It's just horrible, horrible
Uh-huh.
technology. I
I
hate it.
I wouldn't go that far.
I can never get it to work right on Linux, especially the
Well,
web start. Ice-T. I
yeah.
can never get the web start to work right. Whenever I have to use one of the Dracs at work, I
Mhm.
have to RDP into a Windows box we have, and then connect to the
Really?
Drac from that.
Well, you know why? It's because they use a specific version of Java to run that, and if you don't have that
Yeah,
specific version, even in
it's very
Windows,
version
even in
focused.
Windows, if you're running the
Mhm.
latest version of Java, the Drax would probably not work right.
Yeah.
So you have
It,
even in
we run
Windows you
into
have to
that
have
at
that.
work.
I don't know. It's just
For
a
our
real
product,
pain in my ass.
you have
I'm
to have a
actually
specific version of Java, and if you've got a later version of Java, it is not going to work. That's why sometimes I used to see multiple versions of Java. And
Oh,
I couldn't figure
because
out why.
Java still doesn't understand backwards compatibility. Oh, that makes it a good thing.
Right.
All right. But anyway, they do have Ice-T Web in here, and it it works for me when I have to open up a web-based like webinar thing that's Java-based. It works. It
Hate
works
it.
great.
Java should die.
Okay. Well, we're gonna move on. All right. We know you hate Java.
Java should
Speaking of
die.
Java, Tony.
You want some more
No,
coffee?
no. Well, actually, no. Why don't we just
You're
wait?
gonna wait to the end
Yeah,
of the distros?
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So next up we have is Open Media Vault 1.0. And so this is their major release, being 1.0. I guess they've gone to stable. And they're based on Debian, but it is for network attached storage or NASs. So kind of like your little file server.
Yeah. And did you see the name that they've got? I'll say it. It's Krylazek. Anybody follow?
Prilosec?
Kry-
Prilosec?
Not Pri- Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I need some
Somebody have
chills.
heartburn?
Yeah. I thought maybe you were going to get it after that Java rant. But anyway, it's Krylazek. Now, what that is, I thought, well, why would somebody come up with a name like that? So I did the research, and it is from Dune, the science fiction
Yeah, I've read
trilogy
like
Dune.
13 of those books in that storyline.
You don't remember this? This
I
is
don't.
called, it means Typhoon Struggle or Final Battle at the End of the Universe.
I don't remember
So
that.
I don't know if this is going to be the last release of Open Media Vault or whatever. But anyway, they've got one of the things they've got as part of this release too, or they use anyway, are plugins, and it's what that allows Open Media Vault to do is to add additional services like LDAP, BitTorrent, other types of services. And anyway,
I wonder if you can run OwnCloud on it, if there's a plugin for that.
yeah,
'Cause that's
rsync, SSH, FTP, those kinds of services. So you can do that. Well, maybe they
Cool.
maybe you could. I don't know.
Yeah, because that's my main file server. The main thing I use it for is OwnCloud.
NFS.
Cool.
All right. What's next?
Next up is Proxmox.
All right. Boy,
There
have I
we go,
got some
Mary.
things to say about that.
Yeah, it's 3.3, the virtual environment.
Yeah, they didn't really mention it there, but it's based on Debian Wheezy 7.6, and this is what I was talking about. It's this firewall feature that they have, and when we were talking about the other one, I kind of honed in on firewall. But this is kind of interesting because Proxmox comes with some firewall macros um, that make setup of the firewall easy, as well as security groups, IP sets, and aliases. And one thing that they do is that the IP tables they run on each cluster node, providing full isolation between individual virtual machines. So all of that occurs out at the machine, so you don't get a bottleneck in the middle, or at that upper level, which I think
Yeah.
seems kind of efficient to me anyway. Maybe there's a downside to it, but it wasn't really clear to me. Proxmox is actually used by 62,000 hosts in over 140 countries. And this release, they've got the new ZFS storage plugin. It's fully supported, which means the ability to use external storage based on ZFS by a SCSI. So the world is moving to ZFS.
Woohoo.
All right, Matt.
Give me EXT4. I left EXT3 for EXT4 kicking and screaming.
Did you?
Yeah. Do you think you're ever going to get me to ZFS?
Well, when I my workstation at home, it runs Linux. It's ext4. I like ext4. It's solid.
Yeah. Now it's okay.
Okay. It's
All
okay.
right. All right. Up next, we have on the 16th is Raspbian 2014-09-09. And as it sounds, it is Debian for the Raspberry Pi. And I'm sure everybody knows what the Raspberry Pi is. If you don't, it's this tiny little computer on a board.
Google it. If you don't, Google it.
Yeah.
And
It's really cool.
speaking of Raspberry Pi, you know that one that you fixed for me?
Yeah.
I haven't turned it on yet. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
But I think didn't they also release something else, Noobs?
Noobs has a lot of stuff, but
Yeah,
this specific Noobs will refer you over to Raspbian if you want to run Debian on your Raspberry Pi.
But Noobs also has several other distros available, like Fedora, which is a Fedora remix, OpenELEC, RASP BMC, which of course is an XBMC media center, RISC-OS, well, it's a non-Linux distribution, and then actually Arch. I think they've gotten Arch to run on the Raspberry Pi.
I'm sure Arch was the first thing to run on Raspberry Pi.
And then also they have got, well, probably wasn't the first, but they also have, and this I found this on a blog at Broadcom, but originally I think it came from the Raspberry Pi website. They have got this little adapter that has got built-in Wi-Fi, and it's set up to work with the Raspberry Pi because Broadcom worked with the Raspberry Pi Foundation to create this. So of course I'm thinking, wow, I got to get one. Won't be available to the end of September.
Oh.
But it is really cool. It's
Yeah, I'm looking at the
USB.
picture.
Yeah.
So the downfall of Raspberry Pi is it only has 2 USB ports. So if you have one for your keyboard, and then you need one for your
mouse,
or your wireless device or something,
external storage.
Yeah, then you've run out of everything. So with this Broadcom, it has 2 USB ports. So you plug it's using one of the USB ports, but then gives you 2 more.
Yeah, and it's got wireless, so
yeah,
very slick.
That is cool.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be, from what I could tell, I think it's going to be maybe around $50 or something, maybe a little less. I don't know, but it's coming. Looks pretty neat.
All right. Also on the 16th, we had another non-Linux release, Minix.
Minix.
3.3.0.
The famous or infamous, depending on how you look at it, Minix.
That's right.
Yeah.
Minix is the reason Linux was written.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Linus was studying off of Minix and
couldn't afford the license.
Yeah.
I thought maybe he just had hit the wrong key. But I went out to their site, and they said here that X11 is not available currently. They say our old version, which was still based off a monolithic X386 server, broke. We're in the process of importing a current release of Xorg. New X11 packages will be provided as soon as the port is completed.
Right, because Minix is a microkernel.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
All right. Here's a big release.
I'm waiting for the jazz music in the background.
And
Well,
tonight on Cool Jazz.
Won't be for you. It will not be jazz though. metal, freakish metal song.
There you go.
All right.
All right. So, and up we have a big release here. It's RHEL, or Red Hat Enterprise Linux 5.11.
Yes. Everybody forgets about 5, but it's still there. Still kicking.
Yeah. Is it running the
so
2.6 kernel?
I don't know what it is.
I think it is.
Don't say anything, but I have heard that there are some web hosting companies out there that still have servers running 4.9.
Wow.
I have heard that. That's scuttlebutt in the business.
Mm.
I'm not naming any names.
But you're dropping a hell of a lot of hints.
All right. All right. Next up we have is Clonezilla Live 2.2.4-12. And again, we've talked about this one in the past a lot. It's a really nice tool to be able to copy hard drives and partitions. So it's really cool. And this is a whole boot CD that you can do it.
I like Clonezilla.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Next up we have is another version of Knoppix. They just had an update recently.
Wow, they went a long time without anything, and now they've had 2 fairly recently.
Yeah.
Close together.
7.4.1. Based on Debian Wheezy and newer packages from testing and unstable.
I remember back in the day, Knoppix was the live CD. There was no other.
It was the
That's
first.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it always has a nice little spot in my heart.
Hans Knopper.
Yeah.
Gotta love him.
Who has, he actually has a column, I think, in Linux Magazine. But I was going to say that this version apparently has got partial integration of System Start and the Service Manager System D, which is going to be standard in the next version of Debian. So they've got a workaround in order to keep the quicker script-based Knoppix system in place to start with SysV in it. So I think they're in the process of getting themselves to go over to
System D.
Oh,
it's coming, whether you like it or not.
Speaking, well, tell you what, we'll finish this. I'll talk about. There's a boycott. Did you see the boycott System D website?
Oh no, you're gonna have to show me this one.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a bit.
All right.
I don't want to sidetrack this segment.
Oh.
I do it to so many others.
Yeah, I was just about to start with going right in there with you because I almost made a comment. We'll wait.
All right. All right. We only have 2 left. We have Web Converger 26.0, and Web Converger is designed for web-only computers. Now with Firefox 32.0.
Yeah, a kiosk type, but I went out and took a look at what was going on with this release, and on their website they mentioned that there's a known issue where setting up external screens on new Intel hardware might not be possible with the currently installed stable Intel driver. We have the solution, which we commercially support. An upgraded driver, though, we didn't roll it into this release, so since it causes choppy flash playback. So apparently there is a little something going on there, but if you got their commercial version, they will fix it for you.
Flash, that other great and wonderful technology.
You're right.
Yeah, and they're also working on upgrading to the next Debian release, Jessie. So they're putting their stuff in place on that.
Cool. All right. And last up, we have Window Maker Live, or WML 0.95.6-1. And they are also Debian-based and featuring the Window Maker Window Manager.
Yeah, you know what's going on with this? This one's kind of interesting because, well, first of all, they've finally got the generic support for touchpads fixed in this version, which is nice.
That is an important thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, you would think.
and for install, they still rely on the standard Wheezy 3.2 kernel. Now, what happens is once you get installed, and that's the kernel that is part of that process, um, they say only used for actual installation face to disk. A more recent 3.14 kernel from Wheezy backports branch is used as a standard kernel once the system is installed to disk. So I'm not sure why. Maybe because some of the install process or steps just require whatever the 3.2's got. But once it's in place, then you can use the more recent kernel. So I just thought it was kind of a different way to approach it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wanted to share that. Um, and one other thing too is that their approach up to this point was to just limit to what they could get onto a CD, but apparently now they're giving up significant features, so they've switched, spitting all over the place. So they've switched now, and they are using a DVD and making sure that there's a lot of good stuff on it. So they had to kind of give up the CD ghost.
Yeah, because you know what some distributions have done to maintain the CD being able to be on a CD?
No.
They don't ship a productivity suite.
Oh yeah.
They make you get it after the fact.
Hold that thought, would you?
And it's not a distro if it doesn't come with a productivity suite.
Oh, hold that thought.
Not a desktop distro. Sorry, it can be a server distro, but it's not a desktop distro.
But
Okay.
what if it's in there? It's just it has to download it. It's not included in the CD.
Not a desktop distro.
Ooh. All right. Well.
All right. So Chrome's not a desktop distro. Chromebook.
Yes, because it comes with a productivity suite.
It does.
It's not installed on it.
It's not installed on it.
Nothing's installed on it.
Okay.
Well, then it's not even a. All right,
just-
Tony, we're picking on him too
You're
much
just
here.
trying to split hairs, and you're
I'm
trying to
trolling.
get
You don't.
you're trying to get me to swear.
Don't ever try to split hairs with a bald guy. All right, we're gonna move right on.
All right.
All right. All right. So the top 5 for the week. Then we have
The distro of the week, according to Distro Watch, calculated by website hits per day.
all right. And number 5 we have Minix 12.74.
And trending up.
And number 4 we have OpenSUSE 13.43.
What? 1,343.
13.43.
Not-
Oh, 13.43.
And trending down.
All right. And number 3 we have Debian with 1576.
And trending down.
And the number 2 spot is Ubuntu with 1704.
And trending down.
And in the number 1 spot we have Mint
Gotta love that minty goodness.
with 2193.
And trending down.
All right.
All right.
And I know PCBSD is actually doing pretty well on that list.
That's right. And next up we have
What distro are you reviewing this week, Mary?
Mary's review.
Yes. And what I'm reviewing this week, as I mentioned earlier, is Q4 OS. It's almost fourth quarter, Q4, as we say in the business world. And what more appropriate OS to review than Q4 OS? Now, this is a lightweight Linux distribution for older computers and those who prefer the KDE 3 look, that retro look, because it runs the Trinity desktop. So,
KDE 3. I was in love with it for a long time.
yeah.
And then 4
yeah.
came along, and I said, goodbye, KDE.
Bye. Yeah, no, I kind of did too a little. But anyway, so we'll cover the vitals for it. The name, of course, is Q4OS. It's maintained by a team from Germany. I was unable to get any more specific information than that. Its latest birthday was on September 8th, 2014, when Q4OS 0.5.18 was released. And that was a distribution release, although it still considers itself beta software. So I guess it's kind of hedging its bets. It's based on Debian, and the kernel is 3.2.0-4, and the review desktop is Trinity, which, of course, as we just said, is a customized KDE 3 desktop. First, the live environment. Well, there isn't really a live environment per se. Instead, you boot into a 3-option menu. You can go through what's called the classic install, which is, or what's also called a fully automated install. That's no questions, fully automated. Or you can go to something called advanced options. So of course I was interested to see what advanced options had, and I clicked that. Um, all it really consists of is an option for pre-install by OEMs. That's it. So, so I returned to the base menu, and the classic install sounded much more interesting, and I went with that option. So the install process. Well, imagine you're installing Debian Linux. That's the Trinity install process. Nothing fancy. The job just gets done in all its N-cursive glory. I noticed once the install completed that I did have the i915 graphics chipset module, so that was good. And then also for wireless, of course, this is on the Broadcom laptop I've got, and B43 was in there. However, I did need to install the proprietary firmware in order to get it to work. And so I just did a simple apt-get install firmware-b43-installer, and that was it. I checked WPA supplicant, and my Broadcom chip was receiving wireless signals from my routers and my neighbors.
All right.
All right, the default. So what's available in this distro? Well, the default browser is Conqueror. The default Office suite, well, once you install it, it's LibreOffice. But when you do the base install, there is no Office suite installed.
Yes, boo.
Yes, I know. I know, and I originally had typed in here, this flunks the Matt Enders distro test.
For a desktop distribution.
Yes. And one that I don't know. It was disappointing, but I could get to it very easily because I just did
Without either, it either needs a productivity suite installed or icons on the desktop to Google Docs. One or the other.
Okay, it had neither.
That's the Fix Tony's Chromebook version rant before.
Yeah. And well done, Matt. The mail client, Ice Dove, had to install separately once the base system is installed. And then the file manager. Conqueror is the default file manager via profiles. Trinity has 3 Conqueror profiles. You can perform web browsing with it, file management, or it can also act as a control panel with all the various icons for settings. Now, after the initial login, a screen appears reminding you that Q4OS is beta software. The blue theme desktop looks spacious. There are only 4 desktop icons: My Documents, My Computer, My Network Places, and Web Browser. A small trash can icon completes the desktop ensemble. There is a small toolbar that spans the bottom of the screen with the classic menu and a couple of quick launch icons to show desktop or to launch Conqueror. The first action I took after surveying the scene was to perform a system update. Trinity is based on Debian, so I used the usual apt-get commands and accomplished it without a problem. Now, there really wasn't anything there that told me I should do that. I just took it upon myself, and I think that's one of my knocks on the system is that if you're a relatively new user to Linux or to this particular distro and you're not familiar with the fact that you need to keep your system updated frequently, you might not realize that.
I don't necessarily know that it's aimed at the newer user, though. It's aimed at the user trying to keep older hardware alive. So.
But there are some people, well, yeah, those are older users with their older hardware. But anyway, but no, it's a good point, Matt. Let's see, so the start menu is a little light on the applications. As I mentioned earlier, I was disappointed that Trinity Desktop did not include a copy of the user manual in that because the user manual has a lot of helpful information, and it would have been nice to either include a copy of the PDF there on the desktop or a link to the web page that has the user information. So again, that was one of my little knocks on the software distro, or excuse me, the Linux distro, but you know, it was not a huge deal. But anyway, as I said, you've got to go to their website and download the manual. And maybe that's by design just to get you to their site. Now, the download section of the QoS website contains software installers for several Q4OS applications. Among them is a program to manage and install applications from the Debian repositories. It's called DebApps. It's an installer for DebApps. Now, That's helpful if you're not familiar with Debian package management. I downloaded the file, and when I attempted to preview the contents, because it's a shell script, .esh. So I don't know. I'm not familiar with .esh. I'm familiar with .sh. What's your
What
take on
shell
that?
is it for?
Well,
I mean,
let me tell you what's going on with it. I opened it in kwrite, I think, which is kind of a notepad like.
yeah, I prefer Kate, but okay.
I don't think Kate was installed on.
I actually use both. I use Kate and Kwrite,
Yeah.
but I use my Kwrite in Vi mode
Mhm.
because you can.
You can't. Yeah, exactly. Very good. But when I did open it, it was I got a little message, a little banner across the top telling me it was a binary, and that I was going to, if I saved it, I would corrupt the file. So, but I was only going to preview it, so I didn't. But I thought it was kind of unusual that it was a script that was a binary script.
It's not a script if it's a binary.
Well, maybe that's why there's the E in there then, because it was .esh. But there was.
And file extensions don't really mean anything in Linux.
No, I understand that, but I think it's customary if it's a script, if it's a bash script, it's going to have a .sh.
Right, but you do that to identify it to the humans who are interacting with it,
Okay.
not to identify it to the computer.
Yeah. But anyway, point is that when I opened it up, it was some kind of binary file, which I thought I felt a little uncomfortable with, only because I wasn't sure what I was installing. In addition to deb apps. But I pressed onward because this is my test machine and I could just wipe it off at the end if I wanted to. So anyway, installing deb apps added a Debian applications menu to the launch menu. Inside I saw Synaptic and something called Top Applications Installer. Now this utility, and by this utility I'm talking about Top Applications Installer because I clicked it, is configured to install commonly used programs such as GIMP, IceDove, Ocular, Pinta, and VLC Player. I'm wondering if it would also have contained LibreOffice if I had not already installed it earlier. Because, when I found it was missing, I thought, oh my God, I've got to get that on there. But anyway, so those were what were listed in the Top Applications Installer window. I decided to install Ocular. Now the install process opens a console window with the standard text information that scrolls by as you view the window. After a few minutes of satisfying dependencies, downloading and installing, I had my PDF viewer available for use. I was curious about the version because I use Ocular in KDE4 and I wanted to see how far off it was. Interestingly enough, in Q4OS, it's 0.14.3 and was built using the KDE development platform 4.8.4. So I thought that was pretty interesting. In contrast, my workstation, it's 0.20, and that used the KDE development platform 4.14. So there is some KDE 4 development platform work in there in Q4OS, but for the most part, it's when you look at it, it's KDE 3. I mean, it's just the icons and everything. So. Now, Synaptic opens to the standard interface, not at all daunting for me, but for someone who may be relatively new to Linux, I would say they might be a little confused with it because it's not as user-friendly as, say, for example, the Ubuntu Software Center. Very nice way.
Or the command line.
Yeah, or the command line. But speaking of repositories installing, the Q4OS sources list had 5 software repositories. It had their own. It had Debian Wheezy, it had Trinity, of course, for the Trinity desktop, Wheezy backports, and then Mozilla. You really have quite a few options as far as software to install because you've got the full Debian repository, and then the specialized ones for the desktop and the OS. Now, the interesting programs. This is a base system, so there weren't a lot of things installed by default. However, they did have Crusader root mode installed by default, which I thought was pretty cool. And then they have HTOP as a little menu item, so when you click it, a little window opens. It's probably scripted to just open a little console window, and then there's HTOP, so it's kind of nice. You don't have to go up and manually start it. My rating on it, overall Q4OS is a solid, lightweight distro. There are a few dings, the manual link and some non-friendly items, at least from my perspective. But at the end of the quarter, the end of the fourth quarter, the Lions will be ahead. No, just kidding.
No, they won't.
At the end of the quarter, you should be in good shape with Q4OS. So I give it a 3.5. Oh, it was pretty solid.
Did we ever determine this was out of how many?
Oh, I have to go back and look.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think it's out of 4.
Okay.
I think it's out of 4. But anyway, that's Q4 OS.
3.5. Solid
Yeah.
review.
Yeah, it's pretty solid distro.
All right.
I mean, for a beta distro, as they characterize themselves.
That's cool.
All right, Tony.
All right. Would you like to take a coffee break? Get some coffee?
Yes, we will. Yes, I will. Yeah, the one nice thing, the fact that my fan runs right off the right side here, my coffee just
Coffee nice and
keeps it warm.
Hey, Mary, I'm going to do Barry Ellison. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I got a bunch of other stories,
Good.
and I didn't even have that listed. And because I had posted that, and I was surprised. I got some comments, but you didn't say anything. And
I wasn't on yesterday at all. I mean, I woke up and I went right to going out with the guys.
Right. Hey, by the way, too. Oh no, I think I said that in the last show. That porcupine pale ale was pretty good. And my birthday was last week.
It was.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thanks.
Happy birthday.
That's what I should have talked about what I did last week.
Yeah.
I knew that, and I want to know. I can't remember how I knew that. Something told me it.
Mm-hmm.
Was it LinkedIn?
No, I don't list my birthday on anything. What told you that was the posting of my Tetris light picture. That's what I got for my birthday gift. I got this very cool Tetris light lamp. It's the little. You're familiar with Tetris, right?
Yeah. I remember though.
Yeah. I'm talking. Well, are we recording?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Matt sitting back, it's probably not. Well,
Sounds like
no
he's-
matter what,
I thought we took a coffee break.
no matter what Matt's doing, it's going to pick him up.
That's right. But anyway, let me just say that it's like the Tetris game with the shapes, and so you can position them, and there's like this little metal frame that goes around each shape, and when it comes in contact with the base or a metal frame, or excuse me, a metal shape that is in contact with the base, it will light up. So I have this little Tetris
So if you
assemblage.
grab the metal frame
Nothing happens.
while it's turned on,
Yeah.
That's cool.
it doesn't shock you.
No.
Darn, that takes all the fun out of it.
I know. For you. But anyway, it was it was pretty cool. So
That is really cool. I love Tetris, and so
I remember it. Oh, that was a great game.
yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't Pong. I hated it.
I had it running on my TI-81. I could play right there on my calculator.
Yeah.
Right during class, I'd be like, they think I'm doing math homework.
Think with your graphing calculator, you're doing something big, and you're actually.
That's right. Maybe it was the TI-91. Like
Oh, that's pretty funny.
it was the bigger of the ones, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was fun. All right, so I guess we're going on to
It's time for the tech news of the week.
the news.
The news.
The
The
news. So
news.
Matt, did you have anything you want to talk about?
King Ellison abdicates as Oracle CEO. It's an article on phosphorus.com, and it's about Larry Ellison stepping down. I'll believe it when I see it. But it's about how the guy's kind of actually sad because it's the last bad guy to go. My favorite quote from the article was, "As much as I loathe Mr. Ellison, I really hate to see him go."
Who said that?
The author of this article, Christine Hall.
Because she needs somebody probably to hate on.
Yeah.
Like we all do.
It's a good article. Go phosphorus.com. Check out Christine Hall's article.
Mhm.
King Ellison abdicates as Oracle CEO. It was quite a good read.
Oh, he's still going to be there, though.
Yeah, I know. He's gonna also be in total fucking control. Oops, excuse me, Tony. Sorry about that.
Well, there goes our first edit.
Hey, I almost made it.
I know, and I do want to commend you because you do overall a pretty good job.
So anyway, he's still gonna be in freaking control. So
Okay.
that's what I have.
All right.
Tony.
Tony, Or do you want me to? Are you in the middle of something there?
Actually, I found one article that I thought was really cool.
All
Have
right.
you heard of Metropolitan?
Hmm?
Or Metropolitan? Yeah, that's what it's called. Metropolitan.
Metropolitan?
Yeah, it's the Facebook for the rich person.
Oh, I did see this. I forget
No,
where I saw
didn't
this.
see this at all.
Yeah.
Guess how much it costs a year, Mary?
$500,000?
No, that would be a little outrageous.
It is
Tony.
$3,000 a year.
To do what?
No, the one article I read said
To join?
$9,000.
Oh.
To join
Oh
it?
wait, no, it's a new private social network available for those who are willing to shell out $9,000 to join, and then $3 a year for continuing membership.
3,000.
Or 3,000, yeah.
Okay, so it's 9,000 to join, and then $3,000 a year after that.
Yeah, so I thought it was interesting that they're trying to make this like fancy setup.
Well, they're making it exclusive. I mean, if you don't have that kind of money to just throw around, you can't, you know.
That's
Exactly.
A lot. That's a.
What you're doing is it's a social network for people with that kind of money. They don't necessarily want to be bothered with the
plebeians.
people without that kind of money. So
Yeah, it says it's your standard typical network, except for one change that we made is instead of using a friends method that people are usually reciprocally confirming relationships, we're using the follower method. And this functionality is pretty much you can run it on your own WordPress site. It's called BuddyPress is the plugin.
yeah, that's what Google Plus uses, the follower method.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it says this functionality is in that plugin. The title of this says Metropolitan is powered by WordPress and BuddyPress.
But it's the Facebook for rich people.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I was trying to look for the quote that actually said it was powered by WordPress.
I think you have to be uber rich to really just throw $9,000 without getting like a sample to see what it is. I mean, people, unless you're a ditto head celebrity like Paris Hilton or somebody who throws money away.
I don't know anyone that would use it because people with that kind of money aren't really interested in social networking. It seems to me
it's for celebrities.
Right. Yeah, probably. Anyway, so I thought it was interesting that the title said powered by WordPress.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's the only thing I found.
Okay. Well, I've got a few. I mentioned earlier the boycottsystemd.org. It's not .com, it's .org.
.org?
Yes, and it is a one-page rant. Well, actually, it's got links to some other things, but it's kind of a one-page rant about systemd.
Oh, excuse me. Two T's or one T in boycott?
Oh, I'm sorry. It is two T's. They have such inflammatory words as single point of failure. Systemd team is noticeably chauvinistic and anti-Unix. Journal files are stored in a complicated binary format. They got dozens of coupled binaries. I don't know what that means, but when I see the word coupled in something, who knows?
I think the more scary part that they're trying to use is the binary.
Yes. Oh, and
did you read their disclaimer? I like their disclaimer.
No, I think I kind of glanced at it, but go ahead, Matt.
We are not sys-v init purists by any means. We do recognize the need for a new init system in the 21st century, but systemd is not it.
Yeah, and apparently, it was adapted. Systemd was adapted by GNOME as a hard dependency back in, I think, a few years ago, and they said that's why Debian and others, Ubuntu, Fedora, are jumping on board. Plus, I think.
Well, Fedora was the very first distribution to use systemd.
Pottering, Leonard
Pottering. Well, he didn't write it. He's one of the leading.
One of the guiding influences.
Well, one of them, but it started out. I mean, he works for Red Hat, so it started out there, and Red Hat's testbed's Fedora, blah 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 blah.
but here's my favorite line in the whole thing is it runs as PID1, the PID1, whatever,
Yeah.
which I think we all
In it
understand
runs
why.
in it runs is one PID
Yeah,
one.
which means more non-kernel system upgrades will now require a reboot. And then he says, and then it says, enjoy your Windows 9 with a line through it, Linux system, which cracked me up. But anyway, so they've got some.
If you're using case place, you never have to reboot. Case place or some type of kernel update grafting. So
Okay.
I mean that all at work our servers that need to be up run a grafting system so that we can do kernel updates without rebooting.
Makes
Everyone does.
Sure.
If you don't, you're not responsible as
Okay.
a host.
Okay.
So
Well, but if you're running at home, if you're running just a workstation or desktop or laptop at home,
you reboot that probably almost every day anyway.
no, my workstation goes for weeks without rebooting. But
So,
I get up.
so
Once I'm
you're
at
just
reboot,
wasting the energy it's used when you're not at home, just throwing that energy away, burning that extra fossil fuel, putting the CO2 in the air,
I'm mining
Mary.
bitcoins. Oh, like you care about that. like you care about that fossil fuel. I know you, Matt. I know you, Menders.
It sounded like a good argument to me.
Yeah. Anyway, but so systemd.org is one of the little. Well, it's not a story exactly. I just thought it was kind of interesting. Um, this article, Comcast tells customers to stop using Tor browser. Did you hear that?
Yes, I did.
Really?
Yeah. And Comcast then says they don't really monitor customers. Wink, wink.
Wink,
Um,
yeah.
They would never monitor a customer's internet usage without proper warrant from a court. They used an opaque process recently, though, when they cooperated with the FBI to provide information on alleged Silk Road operator Ross Ulbricht's internet use. He was arrested in San Francisco last October. But anyway,
It's
oh,
probably what it is. Tor breaks or QoS. They can't decide what it is that it's running, so they can't throttle you back. That's probably what the problem is.
oh, maybe. Although just the amount of packets that go through, you'd think they'd be able to count those.
They can count them, but they can't decide whether you're running a video game or you're running
Oh, I
web
see.
browsing or you're doing, video conferencing. Or...
Yeah. Yeah, and then so with the approach of Ulbricht's trial, questions over how his Icelandic, here for Iceland, data center server was located have been raised by the defense. So the computer was hidden by the anonymous software Tor. But anyway, I thought it was kind of interesting that some Comcast rep said that it was an illegal program to use. Um, and according to the Comcast customer's account, the customer service agent repeatedly asked the customer what sites he was accessing on the Tor browser. During a follow-up call the next day, another Comcast customer service agent again asked again said that Comcast doesn't want customers to use Tor. Oh my God! So anyway, I thought it was kind of interesting. And I just finished a book called Dragnet Nation, and it's by a New York Times reporter that kind of I'll say went undercover. That's not exactly what she did, but she created a kind of an online identity and used Tor and used a bunch of other anonymizing utilities as part of this whole undercover thing that she did. But it was kind of interesting to read, and it really makes you think about how our stuff is just all over the place. It really is.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's that story. The next one I have is TrueCrypt is getting a new life. Did you guys see that?
I saw your post, but I didn't get to read through that.
That article?
Yeah.
Yeah, it apparently there is a group that is forking it, and they're going to clean up the code, and it's going to get a new name called CipherShed, and with a different open source license.
What license?
I want to say GPLv3.
What did it have in the past?
Well, it was TrueCrypt. I think it.
But what license did it have?
I don't recall what TrueCrypt had in the past. But anyway, so you remember they're doing the TrueCrypt audit. That first part was concluded in April, and the next part of the audit, it's a formal cryptanalysis is underway. Although I tried to find an update for that.
They're doing it, so there won't be any update till they're done.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Matt, because I could not find anything on it. So anyway, but yeah, so Cipher Shed, I'll have a link to that particular site in the show notes, is what its new name is going to be. And it's going to be, this is Cipher Shed is going to be free, as in free of charge, and free speech encryption software for keeping your data secure and private. So it, again, it started as a fork, but now it's going on its own way. So. And it's going to be, like TrueCrypt, it's going to be cross-platform compatible. So you got Windows, you got Mac OS, and GNU Linux. I hope it runs on FreeBSD. I'm sure it will. All right, so there's that story. And then I have got a couple of, we ready for KDE Corner?
Actually, I found one more I want to talk about real quick. Do you mind?
No.
Okay.
It's called alias.sh. Put your Linux shell aliases on the cloud. So it's a website called alias.sh, and you can register and put your aliases that you use in your shell.
The bash aliases?
Yeah, or it's alias dot or
What if you don't use aliases because they're deprecated and you use functions instead?
I don't know. Then I guess.
Then I
Well,
guess you won't
actually,
be registering for that site.
it'll work in here also. There's functions that people are using in here too. But what you do is you post it on there, and then you can either make it private or public, and then people can browse through your aliases, and you can browse through other people's aliases and see what other people are using and see if there's something cool you want to use. And then you can run. It gives you a direct link to your alias file, and you can just do a wget to get the new version. And you could probably cron job it if you always wanted to check for the new version. And so yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Well, all right.
Are you going to sign up for it?
That
No.
No?
I saw
No,
something. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I saw something very similar, and it's a new like program. It has a Git repo, but it's to when you SSH in, it will push your Bash RC and your Vim RC to the remote server for you.
Oh, that's nice.
So you take them with you wherever you go.
Yeah. Huh.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice if you use them.
There's actually GitHub does a lot of the same stuff, where they have you can sort or go through people's dot files. Is what you do. You search GitHub for dot files, and it's all their like scripts and all their bash rcs and and alias files and stuff too. But this is specifically geared around sharing your aliases.
Okay.
All right, so I guess that's it.
All right. Good. We're moving on to the KDE Corner, and I've got two things today. First one is that there's going to be a change of maintainership for Dolphin. A couple years ago, Frank Reinenhaus took over for Peter Penz as the head maintainer of the Dolphin file system. The Dolphin file manager. And he just posted a blog posting that he's going to be stepping down, and he's got somebody in mind that he's.
Did he say who?
He did, but I think he only mentioned the first name. And he says, maintaining Dolphin has been a very pleasant and rewarding experience. It went a lot better than I expected when I took over from Peter a bit more than 2 years ago. Dolphin has been improved in many ways, and I'm grateful to everyone who helped make this possible. He said, he did say his last name. I'm sorry. I have asked Emmanuel Pescasta if he's willing to take over. I'm very happy that he accepted, because he made an impressive number of contributions to Dolphin, and I'm sure that he will keep Dolphin in good shape and improve it further. So this is not a goodbye post, though. I'm still planning to contribute to KDE in general and Dolphin in particular in the future. So he just doesn't want to be the lead on it.
Yeah, and just wants to get some of his free time back, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so there's that. And then the only other thing I've got is that the Digicam software collection, which is part of it's not part of the KDE SC, but it's a KDE app, just released 4.3.0. So it's an excellent. If you're into photography, it's an excellent tool. So
All right.
photo editing and that type of thing.
Cool.
All right, and that's my KDE corner.
All right.
Excellent.
So I guess what's next?
Next up is we don't have any scary stuff.
Okay.
We don't have. Oh wait, but do we? I don't know. What is up next, Mary?
Well, I'll tell you.
Now it's time for Mary's quiz show. Is it alive?
That's right.
Matt has no clue what we're talking about.
I have no idea.
and we designed it that way, Matt.
I don't know if I like this.
Oh, you will. You'll love it. Let me tell you. Okay. Yes. Is it alive?
Uh-oh. Is it alive?
If you've been listening to the YouTube, or excuse me, to the Hangout, you would have known that. But this is a special edition of Is It Alive? Is it alive, or will it go with goulash?
Oh.
Oh no.
That's right. During this segment of the show, I challenge Matt and Tony to identify whether a Linux distro is alive or dead. Every so often, I twist the concept for our show and challenge them to decide if the named entity is a Linux distro or something else. This episode is Twist Week, and I've dug up some distros for Matt and Tony, and they must decide whether they're Hungarian or not.
Oh, jeez.
And extra credit will be given. Now, for those of you who are wondering why I've selected Hungarian, just hang in there for
Stay tuned for listener feedback.
listener feedback, and then you'll laugh at this then. But anyway, so they must decide if they're Hungarian. Extra credit will be given if they correctly guess whether the distro is alive or dead. So, gentlemen, are you ready?
Okay, so we have to say whether it's Hungarian or not,
Yes.
and then the extra credit is for whether it's alive or dead.
That is correct.
Okay.
All right.
So
And
who's gonna clean up?
Don't
this?
hold on to the mic.
It's a desperation grip.
It was. I was fearing for my sanity and life.
All right, so I am ready to start. First one is, so again, you have to decide if it's Hungarian or whether it's alive or dead.
Sure.
Okay. Frugalware Linux.
Not
Not
alive.
Hungarian and alive.
Frugalware Linux is an independently developed general-purpose desktop Linux distribution designed for intermediate users. It is Hungarian.
Ooh.
We're both at 0.
Yes.
That's right, and it is alive. And actually, can you say that again? Your reaction?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Woohoo Linux. That's a great segue into the next one. Woohoo Linux.
Not Hungarian and dead.
I'm going to say yes, Hungarian and alive.
Woohoo Linux is the leading distribution in Hungary.
Oh, jeez.
It is primarily intended for Hungarian users.
So it is Hungarian and it's alive?
And it's alive.
Woohoo!
I think somebody's
2-0.
It's sort of in keeping with well, never mind. All right, the next one is called Sulix Linux.
Not Hungarian and dead.
I'm going to say yes and dead.
Sulix is a Hungarian.
Holy shit! You got any that aren't Hungarian?
is a Hungarian Fedora-based distribution for schools. So it is Hungarian and it's alive.
Oh,
So we only got
I
3 because you
Yeah,
got
I meant-
one.
You got
Didn't
one
get
out
the
there,
extra
yep.
credit.
Yeah. Okay, the next one is called Black Panther OS.
Okay, not Hungarian and dead.
I'm going to say not and dead.
Black Panther OS is a Hungarian Linux distribution which borrows features. I'm trying to make a point here, Matt. Which borrows features from other major projects, including Mandriva Linux. So it is alive. It's and Fedora also it borrows from, and Ubuntu for driver management. So it is alive. At least I got to the site and could download Black Panther. Okay, the next one is Kiwi Linux.
Not Hungarian and alive.
I'm going to say yes, Hungarian alive.
It's Romanian.
Oh.
It was
dead.
a modified Ubuntu Live CD for i386 architecture. It included Romanian and Hungarian localizations, but it was not Hungarian. So how many?
So I got 1, so
you
it's
got
3-1.
Tony won.
Yes.
Woo!
So join us next time for another edition of
Is it
Alive?
alive?
All right. Yeah. That's cool. We haven't had a Is It Alive in a long time. Thank you,
No.
Mary.
Well,
Yeah.
after last
She
week,
had to commemorate the atrocity that will come to light.
shortly. Actually,
Yep. And it's
I
that.
think now.
Yep. It's that time.
It's listener feedback time.
And listener feedback.
Listener feedback.
listener
All
feedback.
right.
I'll go first.
I think the only thing we got was about the subject.
But we got
No,
numerous.
no. We got.
Do we?
I think we did. Because we got this one, and I don't think it was about it. Whoops! What the heck? What did I do?
That's what they were saying after your geography lesson last time.
Anyway, we're gonna start with this one.
Is it from Wes?
No,
Wes.
it's from Renee.
Oh.
I didn't get one from Wes.
Yeah, it came into our email
We had at least 3.
on the 7th. It was the same day we recorded the show. So
Oh.
he was watching the YouTube video.
Oh, okay.
It was very quick.
Well, after I do Renee's, you can do Wes's.
All right.
And Renee sent us an email and said, subject, Hungary is not divided in small countries the last 100 years. Hi, Mary, Tony, and Matt. It is Yugoslavia that is divided into 7 countries. And Hungary is not. Hungary is Hungary. And he's from the Netherlands. So I do apologize, and my geography failed me, and I mistook Hungary for Yugoslavia last recording.
And I apologize for not saying something because in my mind I was thinking that doesn't sound right, and I didn't say anything. And I'm half Croatian.
Yeah, so it's Yugoslavia,
Yeah.
not Hungary, and I apologize to all of our listeners
That's right.
if we have any in Hungary. I mean, if we have any left after me saying that you were Yugoslavia, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, that was. Oh.
Although my favorite is from Wes.
Okay.
He says in episode 134, it was Yugoslavia, not Hungary, that broke up into several independent countries. It says, you Linux information is great. Your geography, not so much. Keep up the good work. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I saw that too. I cracked up, and when I saw that, I thought, I gotta have some fun with it. And that's why that's where the Is It Alive came from.
Yeah, I did read that now, but I don't have it in my list here for some reason. So I don't know what happened to it.
You probably deleted the email.
No.
Oh.
Maybe by accident, yeah. Because I was really amused by his Linux information.
Yeah.
Geography, not so much. And then the other person that pointed out to us was friend of the show, Kevin O'Brien, who also pointed it out.
Friend
to
of the
us.
show and very smart person.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to say we had even another person comment on it also.
Yeah, but I don't have their.
I think it was a YouTube or a Google Plus thing.
And well, I have the Google Plus, and one of our Google Pluses was from Julian. He said, for Tony Bemis, tracking changes in LibreWriter, they do carry over into Microsoft Word doc files, but appear in line, not in bubbles. However, there are still some formatting issues when editing Word files under Writer, especially concerning graphs, equations, and some page layouts.
All right.
All right.
Well, I submitted my first paper yesterday using LibreWriter, LibreOffice Writer, but I saved it as a .doc file, and it was heavily doing MLA format for citing. So hopefully all that format came through right. So we'll see. She said it'll take her about a week to go through all the papers, and I'll see what she says about.
I bet you get a comment back on your paper.
She'll probably say something like
Excellent
the
writing.
formatting. Oh, right. No, it'll probably be something like formatting isn't right. I don't know why, but here you go. That's what I would
that
expect.
could be. So All right. And then so now I can go back to the name of the episode,
Yes.
Magyar. That's Hungarian for Hungarian.
Yes.
Oh.
We were gonna do, was it Hungarian
Yeah,
for
whatever was
Yugoslavia?
Hungarian for Yugoslavia, but it's Yugoslavia.
Yeah,
Right.
spelled a little differently.
Spelled with a J,
Yeah.
as a lot of other languages put the Y.
Yugoslavia,
No, well, they
Yeah.
use a J, but they pronounce it like we pronounce a Y.
sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, a kind of why. Yeah.
So,
So we opted not to do that because the humor value.
yeah,
wasn't
it
there.
was much better for Magyar.
Magyar. Yeah.
All right. So now we're going on to
Featured Music of the Week.
the music this week, and Mary actually found it.
Oh.
I haven't had a chance to listen or anything, but
It's from the album Hungarian Lounge.
Oh my God.
We're not letting you forget this. Matt.
I'm not
No,
going to live this down for a
the-
long time, I'm
the
sure.
song is called Hungarian Lounge, and it's from the album
Oh, I'm
Last
sorry.
Train to Vienna.
Train to Clarksville. Yeah. Clarksville was a suburb of Vienna. All right.
All right.
And who's
so
it by?
it's by the Budapest Dream Orchestra.
Just hammering it home, Mari. Just hammering it home.
We dance.
I wanted to find Balkan carnival music, but I couldn't find any. I was too busy writing my distro.
Oh, this outro music's gonna really stink.
And get your geography right.
Yeah.
You have no one but yourself to blame.
I know. I can't believe I did that. That was more than embarrassing.
All right. So we will run the whole song in the edited show.
Hmm.
But links are in the show notes, and you go to smlr.us to see them.
As soon as I get mine in,
That's right.
I'm going to the ball game, so I won't be getting mine in till later.
Okay. Well,
Later today.
I'm going to try to edit the show right after and get it
Okay.
posted still midday today. So it will
Okay.
Actually, come out
look
on
for
Sunday.
Mary's. That's right.
So it'll come out. Yeah.
The only reason that didn't come out on Sunday last week, and that made the quality sound a little bit different than what we have in the past, is because we were at Mary's house. I had no power here,
Yeah.
and
That's right.
so I couldn't even edit the show here. I still had no power, so I had to do it on my laptop.
At McDonald's.
Actually, I did it on my lunch break but at work. But again, I didn't have my normal tools for editing, so I had to download and install things on my laptop and look up equivalent tools. And
Wow.
When did you finally get power back?
it was actually I edited it and posted it
And then
midday
power came
Monday,
back?
and it was 9 o'clock at night Monday.
Wow.
That's when the power came on.
Yeah,
So
my neighbor didn't get power till Wednesday.
Yeah, that's what is really bad about Detroit's power grid. Their infrastructure is really old, and when we have severe storms, your power can go out for weeks or more in a metropolitan area. It's inexcusable.
yeah, it's really bad. I think what it
I
was
never
is
lost
they
power.
had been laxed really bad on not trimming trees around lines.
Yeah.
And that's what
the problem.
I've seen a lot around here in the last year. They've been trimming a lot of trees, and in the previous 4 years that we've lived here, we lost power maybe 4 or 5 times a year, and in the last year we lost power maybe once.
Mm.
Or I think this was the second
That was
time,
it.
but it was a really bad storm this time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't have power at my house either, and it was too hot for me. So I went to our not our main office, but our secondary office, where our
Mhm.
secondary data center is. It's in Michigan, and
And
slept on a couch in the foyer.
All right.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, last night they told me too that
Who's that beach whale?
no,
out
no,
there?
no, seriously, that happened. Because the one tech, we have one tech
Yeah.
that works there on every shift,
Mhm.
and he saw me and he started messaging a bunch of the other techs, going, "Hey, there's somebody sleeping on the couch," and they're like, "Oh, it's probably just
Anybody
probably
got
Matt."
anybody got a magic marker?
No, no.
Cup of warm tea?
They said back. It's probably Matt, because
Oh,
Well,
I
you
did it.
told
I did
them.
it last week because
Mhm.
the power was out, but I have done it in the past. I go to work on the weekends a lot and just work until I get too tired to work, and then I sleep on the couch, and I get up and I work some more just because I'm that kind of a guy. But anyway, and so I'm known for sleeping on that couch. And they said, well, it's probably just Matt. He says, no, it's not Matt. It's definitely not Matt. He said, it's some bald guy. And he said, bald guy? It's definitely Matt. What are you talking about? Unless he's wearing shorts, then it might be Chad. He says, no, he's not wearing shorts.
All right.
Matt in shorts.
Yeah, that would be scary.
Ah! All right. Just kidding. Okay.
But all right. So you've been listening to the Sunday Morning Linux Review. This is episode 134.
Magyar.
Magyar. This is
Ooh.
this is Tony Bemis.
Matt Enders
And Mary Tomich.
saying, seeing it at the same Matt time and Matt channel or something like
Boy,
that.
that was smooth. That was so smooth.
All right.
Oh,
All right. So
bad life.
Oh my God, Matt. That was funny. Oh my gosh. All right.
all right. Say goodbye to our YouTube.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
YouTubers.
Bye, everyone. Everyone who was
I like
listening.
saying YouTube.